Hello students, let us see about deamination. Deamination is removal of amino group as ammonia. We have seen in transamination, amino acids are converted into keto acids with transfer of their amino groups. So there occur rearrangement of groups in transamination reaction. Whereas in deamination reaction, there occur removal of amino group as ammonia. This ammonia is utilized for urea synthesis. When ammonia is removed, the carbon skeleton is present as respective alpha keto acid, and this keto acid is used for energy generation or it is transferred to form sugar or fats. So this transamination is going on in each and every cell cytoplasm, whereas deamination reactions are taking place in the mitochondria of hepatocytes. Though these reactions are taking place at physically distant sites, they occur simultaneously. That means they are physiologically coupled with glutamate as a channeling molecule. So, some author use the term trans-deamination for these reactions. There are two types of deaminations. It can be oxidative deamination or non-oxidative deamination. Let us first see what is oxidative deamination. Oxidative deamination, as the name suggests, is deamination taking place at the same time there occur oxidation. During deamination, if oxidation occurs, it is called as a oxidative deamination. So, amino acid is converted into a keto acid and ammonia in presence of various oxidative enzymes, and ammonia is liberated, we have seen. So, ammonia is used for urea synthesis, keto acid for energy generation. There are three enzymes which carry out this oxidative deamination. And what are they? The most important is glutamate dehydrogenase. Glutamate dehydrogenase. Second enzyme is L-amino acid oxidase, and third enzyme is D-amino acid oxidase. So let us see glutamate dehydrogenase. As this enzyme is present in mitochondria of hepatocyte, it carries out the reaction which is reversible. The substrate is glutamate, and it can utilize NAD as well as NADP as coenzyme. This NAD or NADP is converted into NADPH plus H plus, NADH plus H plus or NADPH plus H plus. Two hydrogen atoms are removed to synthesize this. This is glutamate, alpha immunoglutarate, and this alpha immunoglutarate is an intermediate. In presence of glutamate dehydrogenase, addition of water molecule occur, and there occur removal of ammonium ion, and alpha ketoglutarate is synthesized. So this is alpha ketoglutarate. Now this reaction of oxidative deamination by glutamate dehydrogenase links glutamate metabolism to Krebs cycle through alpha ketoglutarate. This alpha ketoglutarate can enter into Krebs cycle, thereby it can generate energy. Ammonium ion, as you know, is enter into urea cycle to produce urea. This reaction is reversible. It can catabolize glutamate to form alpha ketoglutarate, or it can help in anabolism of amino acids. So, how this reaction is regulated? Glutamate dehydrogenase is a zinc containing enzyme, and it is a complex enzyme. It has 6 identical subunits. These 6 identical subunits they form 2 sites. One is catalytic site and second is allosteric site. So we have seen glutamate there occur production of NADPH and H plus during this reaction. So this is energy generating reaction. Also the product of this reaction is alpha ketoglutarate, which can enter into Krebs cycle where it can produce energy. So overall reaction is energy producing. So whenever there are energy depleted states, that is cells have more of ADP or GDP, then it will allosterically activate this glutamate dehydrogenase enzyme. Whereas if the cell has sufficient energy, that means it has high level of ATP or GTP or NADH, these molecules will inhibit this glutamate dehydrogenase, thereby the reaction will not occur. So this is how this glutamate dehydrogenase is coming. And in hepatocytes, this reaction is taking place. The glutamate dehydrogenase, as all the amino group are channelized to glutamate, and they are taken to hepatocytes, mitochondria of hepatocytes, where this glutamate dehydrogenase. This glutamate dehydrogenase is present in mitochondria, so NADH and H plus is present when synthesized, is taken by electron transport chain where ATPs are synthesized. Secondly, the ammonia which is liberated is also taken up by urea cycle, because first 2 steps of urea cycle are taking place in the mitochondria of hepatocyte. This is about glutamate dehydrogenase. Now let us see the second enzyme, that is D-amino acid oxidase and L-amino acid oxidase. So these L-amino acid oxidase and D-amino acid oxidase are flavoproteins. Here it is FMN and FAD is required as coenzyme. Remember, D-amino acid oxidase, FAD is required. So these reactions are taking place in liver and kidney. L-amino acid oxidase has low activity it is present in small quantity and it has a insignificant role, whereas relatively the activity of D-amino acid oxidase is high. Naturally occurring amino acid in human proteins are L-amino acid. Let us see the action of L-amino acid oxidase. See, this is amino acid NH3 plus CO minus R and H. Now in this reaction, what happens? FMN is converted to FMNH2, or we can write flavoproteins are converted to reduced flavoprotein. Now what will happen to reduced flavoprotein? These are oxidized by molecular oxygen. These are oxidized by molecular oxygen, and this molecular oxygen is reduced to H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide. This hydrogen peroxide is acted upon by catalase to liberate H2O and half O2. So this part of the reaction is different. Then it will form an amino acid. This is L-amino acid. Then it will form L-amino acid. And in presence of L-amino acid oxidase, addition of water molecule occur, and there occur formation of keto acid and liberation of ammonia. Same is the reaction with D-amino acid oxidase, where D-amino acid will act. FAD is converted to FADH2, which will be oxidized to O2 by O2, and O2 is reduced to hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide again acted upon by catalase to form H2O and half O2. Even amino acid will be formed and respective alpha keto acid is formed. So, what is the importance of this? We have seen this L-amino acid oxidase present in kidney and liver, and it has a feeble activity, whereas D-amino acid oxidase has a little bit high activity. So, what is the role of this D-amino acid oxidase? Normally, we have in our human proteins L-amino acid oxidase, but plants and microorganisms contains D-amino acids. D-amino acids are taken regularly in our diet through. Now, what is the fate of these D-amino acids? D-amino acid is acted upon by D-amino acid oxidase, whereby corresponding alpha keto acid is produced. Now, this alpha keto acid is produced. This can enter into various metabolic pool. It can liberate energy or it can go to gluconeogenesis for all. Secondly, this alpha ketoglutarate by transamination can be converted to L-amino acid. So this D-amino acid oxidase step is the first and important step for conversion of this D-amino acid to L-amino acid, so that these amino acid can be incorporated in human proteins, or in case of formation of keto acids, and thereby they can be metabolized. This is about D-amino acid oxidase and L-amino acid oxidase. Let us see non-oxidative deamination. What is non-oxidative deamination? The deamination that is going on without oxidation. And some amino acid which contains hydroxy group or sulfur group undergo this non-oxidative deamination. This non-oxidative deamination we can see in hydroxy amino acids like serine and threonine. So The enzyme dehydratase acts on it, dehydratase, and it will produce pyruvate plus ammonia. Whereas threonine, when acted upon by dehydratase, it will form alpha ketobutyrate and ammonia. Also, sulfur containing amino acid like cysteine and methionine undergo this non-oxidative deamination by desulfhydration. So the enzyme required are desulfhydrates and cysteine is converted to pyruvate and ammonia and hydrogen sulfide is liberated. The last example of this non-oxidative deamination is histamine. Histamine is acted upon by histidine to form urocanate and ammonia.